Hi, today I'm going to talk about anger and how to manage the energy of the emotion of anger when it comes up. There's a lot of different methodologies and ways of managing this anger out there, some of which is very useful, and some of which I perceive to be more of a process of suppressing or distracting from the energy of anger, or redirecting the attention in another part of our system where we might not be aware of this emotion. Ultimately, any process of distraction, suppression, or a different point of consciousness to operate from doesn't necessarily resolve the emotion and the energy of anger. So it can be useful, in addition to any other process that you're already applying in order to manage and clear your anger, to actually use a process that will completely clear, heal, and release the energy of the emotion of anger. In that process, the first step is to be able to release any judgment that we have of our emotions. So if we judge ourselves for feeling angry or any other emotion that we might feel, then it prevents us from actually looking at the emotion. It prevents us from understanding the underlying dynamics of this emotion. Oftentimes, we will judge ourselves for our negative emotions because we experience those negative emotions through the lens of the collective consciousness. What other people, family, friends, and people in the collective consciousness, different groups that we belong to or that we'd like to belong to, the herd, how they might feel about us being angry. And then we feel emotionally abandonable for feeling angry. When we get stuck in that cycle of judging ourselves for our emotions, we can't really look at it. And so our attention and our energy is spent judging ourselves for being angry, which of course doesn't resolve the cycle. So then we might judge ourselves, punish ourselves for feeling angry, and then distract away from that through whatever mean we have societally to do that. And of course, that does not resolve the energy of anger. So the first step in order to achieve a state of no longer judging ourselves for our anger can be a process of forgiveness. So you can use the process of Ho'oponopono, or you can use the process of forgive and forget, both of which you can find on our YouTube channel. And when you use those processes or any other process of forgiveness or of clearing judgment, then you're able to be okay with the energy and the emotion of anger, and then you can look at it. And so the second part of the process is to look at it, like, why are we angry? So if, of course, we stay at the superficial layers and we say, well, we're angry because of somebody else, of something happening external to ourselves, we're again not taking accountability, and we're not actually understanding what's really going on in our system while we feel angry. Anger is a result of feeling out of control, feeling like something is happening in our environment that we can't control, and then projecting that not being in control of someone or something happening in our environment is going to lead to negative potentials, negative scenarios, negative results in our lives. So when we can realize that it's all an internal process of projection, so projecting the past onto the present moment or onto the future, and then realizing that it's a process of feeling triggered, feeling afraid, feeling unsafe, feeling unstable with something external to ourselves that we feel we can control, then we can actually get in touch with the energy of those fears, of those projections, and we can clear them, and then the anger releases by itself. Meaning that if we don't feel out of control, if we don't feel like we need to control negative potentials, because we stop projecting those negative potentials and we stay aware and conscious from moment to moment to what is happening in our lives, then we can manage optimally any situation, any relationship dynamic, anything that is arising in our lives in a conscious manner. And so we don't need to feel angry about it. In order to help us clear the energy of anger, once we're looking at it and allowing ourselves to see it as an internal process, we can use various processes. The forgive and forget process, forgiving ourselves for our anger, and then allowing ourselves to then feel what we feel in regards to the situation, the person, the circumstance that we're in, so we don't feel so out of control and fearful. The Sedona method, which allows us to let go, learn how to let go and surrender. And then again, once we've done that and we no longer feel fearful, then we can consciously and wisely decide what we want to do with what is happening without feeling out of control or threatened. The who is it process, meaning asking yourself, who is it that feels angry and why, in a meditative state, is also very helpful. It helps bring up the different memories and recordings of having been out of control or having felt victimized in your life. And as a result of that, you can disidentify from, in that moment, feeling out of control or victimized, and realize that you're really projecting the past onto this situation, and that's why you feel angry. And then you can come back to the present moment and realize everything's okay, and then know how to manage the circumstance without any anger. In the same way, there's a process, I am my emotion, so I am my anger. When you use that process, again, it allows you to actually identify with the part of yourself that is feeling angry, that is identified with your anger. And so instead of reacting to your emotion and becoming angry and reacting and making decisions from that emotional state, now you realize that the anger is not because someone is doing something or a situation or you're a victim. It's simply because of your own perspectives, and that the anger is self-created. And then you can clear that energy, realize that you don't need to be angry about the circumstance, that you don't need to feel out of control or victimized, and then again, consciousness can arise and you can make a new choice and a new decision. Of course, in addition to processing the energy of anger out of your system, meaning clearing all of the recordings from the past, it can be very useful to start resonating with higher states of consciousness, elevated emotions, in the same way that Dr. Joe Dispenza describes in his different process of clearing negative emotions from the lower energy centers. You can arrive by focusing at your heart or focusing at a higher energy center, states of elevated emotions, where instead of focusing on all the ways in which the situation is feeling victimized or out of control or disempowering or leading to negative states of emotions, you can actually see the situation resolved, feeling good, feeling disidentified from your ego, feeling a lot better about the resolution to any situation. And then through this state of elevated emotion, in addition to having cleared the energy and having all this wonderful energy available for feeling more of the elevated emotion, of course you're going to feel much better and have a lot less anger. So it's my perception that using a two-part process of clearing the emotions, healing the emotions, not being in judgment of them, and processing them out of our system is going to liberate energy. And then this energy that's liberated is available to experience something different, to experience elevated states of emotions, to have more empowering thoughts, to be more conscious, to be more intentional, and to begin to really create our reality from a state of consciousness, of grounding, of feeling good about ourselves rather than reactivity. I hope this is helpful and that you are able, through this process, to manage the energy of the emotion of anger, and that you feel better and better in your life.